have liftoff.
We are going.
Whee!
We did it.
It's so much better than me saying something, right?
We did it.
Oh, boy.
Ladies and gentlemen, here we are. We did it.
Oh, thanks, Snazzy.
We've launched the stream.
Here we are. Everybody say hello.
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 Everybody say
Can we
hello.
sing
Hello.
it together? Hello.
everybody.
Hello.
I'm so glad that you brought the bass instead of me because I'm the natural choice to.
Well, you guys just kept going higher.
What do you want me to be?
wanted to
Hello.
like a scream.
Oh,
Solid
boy.
baritone.
Trey, you scream in, right, Ty?
Yeah.
Okay, let me take a deep breath and get us started. Everybody ready? Priorities and goals. This is something that
boy.
we've probably talked about already, but not to the extent that we're going to try and get into tonight. So, a lot of people on Twitch have the same complaints over and over and over again with what is going on with their stream, with what they've decided to do or not to do in order to reach success on Twitch. So the first thing, I feel like a broken record sometimes, but I'm going to say, I want to start this by just saying, how difficult is it to become a streamer today? Like, you guys give me your gauge. Like, if somebody were to start streaming, not really knowing anything about streaming, they just decide, I want to be a streamer. What would you say to that person? Define how difficult it is.
Streamer.
Successful, full-time job.
Full-time job?
Yes.
Next to impossible.
That's hard.
It's like hitting the Powerball, but not like the really good Powerball, kind of just like the sort of medium Powerball, right?
It's like winning a scratch off, not even
Medium.
like the grand prize.
Yeah,
but
like
the
a really
medium
high
prize.
prize to scratch off. Exactly.
Yeah, the medium prize. Not like the $2, so you go and then waste that $2 on more scratch offs. I mean, like the $250 one maybe or something.
Oh,
Yeah,
boy.
not even $1,000.
Not even $1,000.
$250.
So, as far as like how hard somebody who would be successful, how hard would they have to work?
So
For
I feel
most
like
people?
Let's start with
Go ahead.
Snazzy. No, you go first, Snazzy.
I feel like given world events, given everyone's enclosure in their houses for the last 2 years, it's become exponentially harder to get there. I think because a lot more people are getting into streaming now, with various degrees of success. And what most people don't realize, and we kind of alluded to this before, is that it takes a while. It doesn't
takes
happen
a while.
overnight. And when you have a lot of people, a lot of new people coming into a space, and they see a lot of people who are already established, it's very easy to think that, oh, these guys got here really quick. When in reality, I know some streamers who've been streaming for 6-7 years, right? There's Twitch partners who've been streaming for over 5 years, right? And they weren't partner for most of those years. So it takes a lot more time than people think. But because there is such an influx of streaming as both as a entertainment venue and as a business venture now, I feel like it's gotten a lot harder to be seen, right? To stand out from the sea of people that are flooding into the space.
It is so very hard that it takes like a super crazy idea or incredible dedication and strategy and execution of that strategy, because you could even do everything right and still completely fail as in this regard. It's almost like trying to start a band or be a musician or be an actor. Like very, very rarely do you go to one audition and now you've made it, or play one show and you're signed and now you're this big, crazy, band or something. So I don't feel like it could be understated how difficult it is to make streaming work, for being a full-time income, making streaming work. And I think too many people kind of approach it like it's not that hard. So they don't have a level of respect for how difficult the thing is that they're trying to do. I'm not trying to dissuade anybody from streaming. In fact, the opposite. What I'd rather is you approach it like you need to like do the most difficult thing you've ever done and approach it from that. If you really, really want this, you have to show everybody how hard you're willing to work, and the sacrifices you're willing to make that work are not going to be small. This isn't going to be like, well, I'll just stream an extra hour, and now that should be enough for, I'll skip lunch. Like, this is not a small sacrifice trying to make something so big and competitive work. It's a very competitive space.
I think part of the issue is that streamers who are established, right? Streamers who have some modicum of success, make it look easy. Like it's really easy to kind of, and like I see this especially in people who are less tech savvy, right? My parents, for example, are probably a good example of this. Like when they look in on this space, right? People who are less like tech savvy and less internet, less molded by the internet. Let's put it that way. They just see somebody on camera seemingly enjoying themselves playing a video game or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And on the surface, that seems like a good gig. You're playing video games and getting paid to do it, right? But there is so much more there.
Oh, it like almost triggers me when people say that, right? Like, you're just playing video games on the internet. It's so
It
easy.
makes me want to like if there's a desk nearby, I just want to like face desk and like put my head in the ground and be like, no, like you have no idea.
If only you could just like turn on your PS4 and turn on internet and money, right?
The money comes out, yeah.
Money just comes out of
Just
the
use
console.
your PlayStation to print money, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And it kind of brings out two kinds of people when they're faced with the difficulty. I've seen people kind of brute force continue forward, not changing anything. Like 10 viewers every time they stream, 10 viewers the entire time they're live, and they just brute force, they just keep going and expecting it to be different year after year after year, expecting it to be different. And then there's the people who stream for 2 weeks and their viewer numbers drop by a percentage. Just pick any percent. 1%. I have 1% less viewers. Something is wrong. Nobody followed in 3 streams. Something is wrong. I only had 2 viewers yesterday. Something is wrong. It's, you have the people who just like ignore and brute force forward. And you have the people who like pay too much attention to everything. Like, oh my God, someone just came in. The viewer count went up by 1. It went up by 1 and they're not following. Why aren't they following? Why haven't you hit follow yet? Hit follow.
It's the sine wave. It's the highs and the lows,
Getting
and
all
I feel like a
mathematical.
lot of people are really bad at handling the lows, and the lows are gonna come. That's the thing, right?
Always.
Streaming is not a if your trajectory is such that you never dip in viewers or followership or whatever you're smoking, I want some of it because that's amazing. I would love to know.
Partners' viewer count moves out like crazy, like in way bigger percentages than smaller streamers. Like smaller streamers, they go from 12 viewers to 10 viewers, and they immediately think something's horribly wrong. Partners go from 150 viewers to 80 viewers, and they're like, "This is normal."
To the point where some partners are legitimately afraid to take time off because they know that there's going to be a dip in viewership and a dip in subs because they're not constantly.
That's a whole other
online.
podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fear of like destroying your
Fear.
stream, trying to be a normal human being on the planet.
Yeah,
know?
kind of what I'm going through right now in a little way.
Yeah. Oh, geez, tell me about it. Right.
No, please
So-
tell me about it.
How much of a job is this supposed to be?
Well, if you want it to be a job, then it's got to be a job, right? Like, you got to put the amount of effort into it that you would expect to put into any other job if you want it to reach that point.
I feel like the word job comes with a lot, like a weight to it that
Yeah.
makes people uncomfortable. And so they immediately say, I don't want this to be a job. But I don't think that's always true. I think you can enjoy working. You can enjoy putting in hard work. You can enjoy success. These all are like markers of things that are directly related to your effort in a lot of ways as a streamer. And
The other issue is because it's a creative outlet, or it's the entertainment industry, right? We can agree that it's the entertainment industry.
Yes.
Mhm.
The whole concept of a job, right? It's not a 9 to 5. You don't go in an office, clock in, clock out. That's not how that works. When you're in the entertainment industry, you're always chasing the next, like, well, if you're an actor, for example, right? You literally hire people, agents, to canvas roles for you, right? You're always chasing that next role. You don't do one movie and then stop, right?
Yeah.
Like
There's
if
a
you're
hustle.
if you're on Broadway, you don't do one show and stop. You rehearse and practice, and you do 2 shows a day for 90 days, and then immediately run out and look for another show to do, right? Like
Right.
when you're in the entertainment industry, the reason people say I don't want it to feel like a job is because like it doesn't feel like a job, right? In the very traditional sense, it doesn't feel like a 9 to 5. It
I'd
doesn't
say
feel
it's
like
probably more work
Oh,
than a
it's
lot
much
of
more work.
jobs.
It fits
It's
in
almost
bursts. Like that's the thing is entertainment industry. Streaming's kind of a weird in between. It's almost more like you're I don't want to say news broadcaster, but like someone who's on a soap opera or something that like is more continuous. Where if you think about people who do movies, it's like they hit the ground running for 5, 8, 12 weeks, and then they have a break essentially. So it's almost you have to think about that middle ground, or like you're a touring musician, right? Where you tour more frequently. But people who tour, they don't do a show every night typically, right? You do 2 or 3 shows and then you take time off and travel and whatever, and then you do a couple more shows. So it's hard to make a full comparison in the entertainment industry, but it really does have that sense of you're entertaining people, and it's on a different sort of time clock. It's on a different sort of expectation, and it's not regular work, right? It's never an assured thing, and that's true across entertainment. You're never guaranteed a paycheck. You're never guaranteed that job. Even if you think you nailed that audition, they may never call you.
And
I
what's
feel
more
like
is you're going to be investing a lot more work usually.
I feel like
It's not regular. Sorry, go ahead.
streaming is probably like the modern stereotype of like the starving artist, you know?
A little bit.
True. Very true.
Just
So
don't pull a Van Gogh, Eileen. We need both your ears intact.
What-
Ears are important.
what do you guys say to somebody who says, I don't want it to feel like a job?
If you like it, it won't, right? Because if you enjoy the process, then like, sure, it's gonna feel like you're gonna have those like. Sometimes it'll be stressful. Sometimes it'll be harder to do than others. But like, if you enjoy it, then like that stuff matters less.
I
you
think
know?
the people I'm running into that have the biggest issue here is what they like is that their stream is growing. And they're not able, if their stream's not growing, then no matter what they're doing on stream, they don't like.
Numbers go burr.
Yeah.
Right.
So how
That comes down to like
should we just tell those people that they need to like take a vacation, take a deep breath, maybe not be a streamer? Like,
I don't know about like not be a streamer, but yeah, take a break or something. Like reprioritize what it is you enjoy about streaming. Because if it's just to see the numbers get bigger, then like the inevitability is that the numbers get smaller sometimes. So that's always gonna hit when that happens, and that's always gonna be a blow to your motivations and stuff like that. But if it's if you reprioritize your goals, it won't feel as bad when number don't get bigger. you know
I would say for
Nice.
anybody who's like, oh, I don't want it to feel like a job, then I'm like, then you have to be comfortable with the fact that your viewership will be mediocre at best because you're not putting the effort in. It in some ways a job is just a code phrase for structure, right? For the amount of structured effort, right?
Yeah.
That's
And
all a
responsibility.
job is. Responsibility is that's actually probably a much better word than what I was trying to Frankenstein together here. It's like, yeah, if you're not willing to put as much work into your stream as you would any other job, then you can't really expect to succeed, because what are you investing in that is going to make you grow? What are you
Yeah.
doing to bring people to you, right? And there is a job-like quality to that, where you have to do things off stream. You have to, whether it's simple, it could be simple, like, working on your alerts, working on your art, or it could be more difficult, like figuring out what game you want to play, or in some cases, figuring out what your priorities are, because that's probably even harder, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes we struggle with the idea of like the difference between a job and what I like to call a slog, right? Jobs can be, why does job have to be such a like negative word? I have a day job. I like well, most of the time I like my day job, right? It's rewarding and it's hard work and sometimes it's frustrating, but it's not a slog. It's a career. It's a job. Like, why do we have to think so negatively about a job? Especially a job like this where you're not as beholden to someone above you in the same way, right? You
A lot of
have to be your
benefits.
own boss,
Yeah.
which is a benefit, but also a challenge because then you have to be your own boss and make yourself work because it is work, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a slog though.
Do you think you can be successful today competitively, speaking generally? Obviously, there's exceptions to this, but do you think the general streamer can be successful just by going live?
No.
No.
That was easy.
Unless your definition of success is 10 viewers. If your definition of
No,
success
I'm
is
not-
I can get
no.
10 people to watch me, yeah, you could probably do that just going live.
Something you said meets that, like, sometimes the job that you have, you like it, and sometimes there's things that you don't like about it, but you still like it overall. Like, I think every job, everything we choose to do in life has aspects to it that are something we maybe dislike a little bit or find boring. Everything has some sort of tediousness. I don't think streaming is an exception to this.
No.
I don't think anything's an exception, frankly.
So a lot of it is just like people having the wrong perspective, where as soon as they bump into something they dislike about making their stream work, it's immediately something that is like, I don't want to do it this way. I don't want to feel, everything needs to feel perfect and very specifically like make me comfortable. And I'm outside of my comfort zone. So and then they're frustrated that they don't get success because they're not willing to do the uncomfortable extra bit of work or go through the difficulty that all jobs entail, right?
Well, if you think about it, things will come up at your job that you don't necessarily like, but you have to do them because it's your job, right? So, like, if you want to be successful at streaming, there's going to be things that are going to come up that you don't like about streaming. There's going to be that day where you don't feel like going live when maybe you should. There's going to be that day when you have to sit down and overhaul your entire, all your scenes and all your alerts because you haven't done it in 6 months. Like, those
6
days are going to happen. Or 6 years, whatever. Yeah, insert number. Yeah.
It's almost like you have to sit down, and I hate to say this, but it would almost be good for someone who's like thinking about this and the career path is to actually sit down and write yourself a job description. I know it sounds so weird and tedious, but I feel like that might actually put things into perspective, right?
Yeah.
What is your expectation? What is your, minimum competency? What are your tasks that you anticipate? And someone should like write this. It's going to be a little bit different from person to person, but really think about it from a perspective of like, what is my job description here, right?
I actually put Twitch down as an employment on one of my resumes that I sent out to a place. It's hard. It's hard condensing that down into a little blurb about.
If
what
it's
you do.
not, you're probably not doing it right.
Yeah.
Right?
Like I could create a job description right now. Like I could write one down, and it would look like a job description because it's a job.
The good thing, also like the secondary benefit to this, it's kind of like people who do those vision boards. Like those things are not magic. What they do is they help you see what your tasks are and then figure out how you can achieve those goals. You make a vision board, If you put a Ferrari on it, like how do you get that thing becomes
doesn't just
like
materialize.
yeah, like now you need to figure out like you in the gamer chair to you in the expensive car. The there's not it's a dream before that. So you do yourself a disservice by not treating streaming like a job if you want to be successful. This is true basically for anything. It's like a good idea if you're working out to like have a list of what days you do certain exercises and how many reps and keep track of everything that you're doing, all of that. So I think it's probably there's a big benefit to treating streaming very seriously, even if you're a hobbyist. One of the things that I keep hearing as well is that you three, so this is going to be directed at the three of you, very, because I want you to personally answer this the best you can, because there's some optics. There's people that look at you three and think they have it so easy that they do whatever they want and it just works. People are following their stream, their viewership just keeps going up. They can stream anything they want. They can do whatever they want, and their stream works. So you tell eat your meats. Let's start with you. How do you feel about this statement?
That is such a load of bullcrap.
What do you mean? You don't do whatever you want? You can't just do anything you want?
No, I have to sit and like really consider what I'm doing, and like I make mistakes too, absolutely. But like, no, there are times where I'd much rather be playing something else, but I realize that it's not a reasonable thing for me if my goal is growth, right? There have been days where I saw, my peak sub count after a big gift had gone off, and my sub count basically just plummets before my eyes. And if you have a sub count that flashes, you can actually watch literally your sub count plummet before your eyes, like triple digit plummet, right? And that is a weird feeling.
You think back to yourself, oh yeah, there was that sub bomb a month ago. Oh yeah, that was around this time.
This is my baseline. I forgot. It feels great. And so I put time outside of stream considering games. I engage in Discord. We do community stuff in Discord. So like even in times like right now where because of my job I'm not able to stream quite as much as I want, I still engage consistently in Discord and have things that I do outside. I've learned how to video edit, which was really hard. I'm not good at it, but I'm getting there. Art direction, so many things. I spent hours working on translating walkthroughs for the lols for games, right? Trying to come up with new ideas. So it's not just like I sit there and I'm like, oh, I think today I'm just going to play this game and we'll see what happens. There's a lot of thoughtful trial and error. And I still have days where instead of my regular CCVs, I'll be playing the same damn game and I have like 15 people. And I'm like, what is going on? You get
how it
days
is.
like that, and you just kind of have to ignore the numbers and just go, well, today's just one of those days and move on. But it certainly is not. I just hit go and people throw money at me. That'd be great. If you guys want to do that, please come hang out.
Eat your meat.
throw
Looking
money
for
at me.
people to throw money at
There's
her.
a place you can make that dream come true.
Oh my god! If I had like a $5 just like can't like money gun and like every time someone subbed, it just threw like a $5 bill. Amazing! Can we make that happen?
Well, that'd be awkward,
Probably,
because they have
actually.
to throw $250 at you and quarters hurt.
Yeah, quarters do.
The type of person that can just turn on a screen or turn on a stream and people will watch, like that's a very, very specific type of person, and that also only gets them so far because even the people who are like that also start thinking about like, what do I do to make this entertaining, right? Like people start doing challenge runs, hit list runs, speed runs, all sorts of like different and interesting things that they want to do that they can do because the people showed up because they're super charismatic, right? But it
Even
only
then,
gets them so far.
Yeah. What about you, Snazzy? Well, how do you
Even
feel
like,
about
well-
the statement? Let's go back to the statement.
Okay.
You
Oh, yeah.
you are you have it so easy. You could just do whatever you want, and your stream is
It-
growing.
I mean,
just
he
works.
just builds like little models and stuff, right? He
yeah,
doesn't
that's
do
all
any
I do.
actual work.
Yeah. How true is that?
First of all, I'm not Todd Howard, okay? It doesn't just work, okay? Like there's steps in between. It like I have to stop myself from like bursting out and like between like cry laughing when I hear that statement because like it's there's so much to it, dude. It's like that. It's not like a trade secret that like I play certain games because they are good for growth. Because if it were up to me, I'll be playing whatever game hit my fancy that night, which is what Subnautica and like Faster Than Light, like that would
then
probably
Bloodborne.
top my thing. Like if it were up to me, I'd probably just be playing Subnautica every night because that's just I'm like that, right? I replay old games or like I'd bust out like retro games and just play them forever. There's a lot of effort that goes into it behind the scenes that just doesn't come through, and that's not just for me. I'm sure that's true for Eat Your Meats. I'm sure it's true for Hylian. I'm sure that's true for any successful streamer. Is that there is a lot of stuff that goes on in the background that the audience does not get to see, but also that other streamers, who are I guess your audience at one point or another, they don't get to see that, right? And people who are just getting into streaming only see that front bit, right? That facade you put up every time you hit go live.
They're
And
also not
they
looking at your history either. Like they're not seeing like
That's very
a
true.
year
Yep.
ago when you had 8 to 10 viewers playing whatever game.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And they're not seeing that section where you had a worse camera setup and your microphone was worse and there was less thought overall in your setup and your stream, and the improvements that brought you to what your stream is today, they didn't happen overnight either, right?
No, I mean, I've been streaming for what, like almost 3 years now, right?
Right.
Yeah, we're coming up on 3 years now, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been, and none of it came quickly, right? The point where I'm at now is you listen, 100% free. Go to Sully Gnome, look me up.
I was
You can-
gonna say Sully
You can put up
yeah.
you can put up a little chart back from put down March of 2019.
It's also
right?
good evidence
Put
for
that as a
why
starting point.
it's also good evidence for why people should maybe even take our advice a little bit, right? Like you can kind of see the history that there was some sort of traction and improvement. So Hylian's in a momentive, like changing stage for your stream, right? You've seen a lot more growth in the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 months than before that, right? And so do you just stream whatever you want to make that happen?
No, not at all. Every single game I choose is like because it meets certain criteria that make it good for a stream, theoretically, except for all the Zelda games that I did last year.
That was a different motivation.
That was a totally different motivation. That was more just like be able to hang my hat on the fact that I did all of them.
But it still had structure to it, though.
but-
That's the important bit.
It did still have structure to it because Thursday was Zelda Day, and Monday and Tuesday were games that I chose that would theoretically help out growth.
Yeah.
So
So you would,
I'm constantly like thinking about the stream and how to make it like a fun place to be and for new people to come in and enjoy their time and all sorts of stuff like that. Like it's never ending for me. I'm always
so it's
trying to be
kind of like a
mindful of it.
job.
kind of.
And honestly, Pickles doesn't get enough credit because he also has that added layer of complexity that he streams with his partner. So you're not only then planning that stream for yourself, you're planning that stream for another person, right?
And that's not an
Yeah.
automatic win. A lot of people would think, "Oh, you stream with a girl on your stream, you're good." Like that's a huge bonus immediately.
Yeah, girls have it so much
So
easier.
easy.
That's a whole episode
So
too.
good.
There's a podcast episode right there.
Tune in next week when
Yeah. Boys versus girls. We got to do that one actually. We really do need to do
Oh,
that
man.
episode.
Well, I mean, so streaming with my wife, like it also doesn't just like happen. Like just because she's there, it doesn't make more people show up.
No.
I do intentionally put put her camera in the bottom right of the screen because that's where most
Thumbnail.
people are gonna. Yeah, in the thumbnail. Yeah, exactly. But that doesn't.
Strategic.
Yeah, but people don't like. Oh yeah, I gotta check this out.
Oh, there's
Because,
a girl
yeah,
in the stream. Oh no, there's also a boy. Never
It's
mind.
not
no.
even that
Run
rare
away.
anymore. Like there's so many
It's
girls
not.
on Twitch.
It's
yeah,
it's
if that's what you're here for, like, oh boy, let me.
Yeah.
so okay.
Ugh.
So how much of what you guys are talking about is a trade-off for you? Do you feel like you're trading like Subnautica Snazzy for growth?
I trade off every time I go live. I feel like there's always a bit of like, am I playing something because it's a guilty pleasure and I want to play it, or am I playing something that I know people will enjoy? Sometimes when the planets align
It's both.
and Cthulhu is happy, those two things will line up, and they will be the same. But very often there's degrees that they're not, right? I'm not,
Yeah.
something I enjoy isn't necessarily terrible for growth, but it's also not good for growth either, right? Some things are just a holding pattern. Other things are, like for example, the Gunpla stream, right? Fiddling with the little plastic models. That's very much a community thing, and I never go into those streams assuming that I'll be gaining growth off of it, because that's not its intention. Its intention is to solidify the community that
Yeah,
exists currently.
It's to glue it
Yeah.
together a little bit.
Listen, it's a glorified just chatting stream and I have something in my hands. To
You're
keep me
building a
busy.
community.
I might as well have fidget spinners, and it would be the same effect, right? So, and yes, you get a little bit of growth from all the other people who love Gunpla who want to see somebody build Gunpla, but that's not the big draw. So there's always a bit of a trade off going on. It's like if I'm playing something tonight, why am I doing it? And the answer is usually a mixture of, well, this will entertain and help get people and get eyes on the stream, but I also like it enough, right? Because if one of those things is too far out of balance, then I know that I'm making a wrong decision, right? Because if something is maybe moderately good for growth, but I know I'm going to absolutely despise playing it, I don't do it, because I feel it's not worth the effort at that point. It's not worth subjecting myself to having a bad time on stream just for growth.
Yeah. Okay. So there's positive and negative trade-offs. I would say all of us understand. I think this is the thing that most streamers need to do, is just figure out what the trade-offs are, what you're willing to do, and what you're not willing to do, and then make sure that it's actually in line with your goals and priorities. So, I've had streamers who they're so dead set on their stream being a certain way, a theme, a costume, a personality, or they need to have their friends on stream with them, because this is what, pick other big streamer. Well, that big streamer has their friends on their stream with them. And so, I can do that too, right? Maybe depends on who your friends are, maybe not. Maybe your friends are making your stream unbearably watchable for other people. Is that worth the trade off for you? Like,
here's a question most people don't ask themselves: are my friends entertaining to other people?
yeah, and
The answer is often no.
And the answer is often no.
yeah, if you're gonna use like a big streamer as an example, you can't just say, well, they have their friends on. Most of those people you're talking about are also other big streamers. They're like,
Like, well, Pokemon and I don't know, someone else who's famous. I don't watch the big ones, but they hung out and played Among Us. Should I just play Among Us with my friends?
You
yeah,
have to understand that is a business meeting that's happening, and you're not aware of it.
yeah,
It's a business function.
yeah,
That is an office party, and you're not aware of it.
yeah. And you may be setting a tone with your friends that is not an attractive environment for new viewers.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever been in? Sorry, let me ask you a question directly, Meets.
Please.
Have you ever been in a stream where the people in voice were a deterrent for you to like be a part of that stream?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a couple sort of ways that can happen. Is like if you're just a bunch of people and there's like inside jokes and you're all just kind of talking over each other and you're like, I don't understand what's going on. I feel like I shouldn't be here because I feel like this is a personal, like, dog. I love you, please.
He wants
Now
high
you have your
fives.
dog on the stream.
I feel like you're like almost peeking into their just like goofing around playing games night, and it feels weird to me.
It feels
I don't know if
oddly
anyone else
voyeuristic.
Yeah, it's not like not a good voyeuristic. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't know if I should be here. Like I feel like I'm not part of this. Like
And
it's
also,
weird.
listen, I'm sure your friends are fine people, but if you're gonna have them on stream, buy them microphones or something. I don't need to leave you listening to somebody
Oh,
talking into a tin
boy.
Incoherent
can.
screeching.
Oh, the
They're
headset.
screeching into a tin can, yeah, into a headset, yeah.
Yeah.
I
That's
can't.
that's coming through not only Discord compression but Twitch compression as well. So you might as well have a series of clown noises on the other end.
Oh, you just triggered me so badly.
I've been to a stream where they were all playing Phasmophobia together, and all 4 people were streaming the game at the same time, and none of them had push to talk, and it was a nightmare of noise. Everybody was trying to talk to their own chats and to each other, and it just like I had to leave. It was bad.
I had to leave.
I don't know if you can
if
see
you
it on
have
my face, but I'm cringing really hard right now. It's like my
it can be
Ugh.
super cringy. Co-op is good in some ways. One of the things I like to do is like play out a game for a while, and if I'm bringing in some new community members, one way that actually like hooks them and has them come back in the future is to do like co-op, but no mic'd co-op. I generally recommend. So like Dark Souls 2, for example, right? Going into the DLC or the Chalice dungeons in Bloodborne or doing something with Monster Hunter where you allow people that have, been hanging out since you started the game to come in and co-op. That is a way of retaining people because then they start to really feel part of your community. But that's different than bringing like weird outside people that, don't have that same, I don't know, resonance. You know what I
Well,
mean?
yeah. Like we played Risk of Rain a long time ago, and then there was somebody who came in who wanted to do co-op on voice, and so I ended up just like being on voice like with my phone with headphones in it so that only I could hear them talk because I did not trust them to talk on stream, and it was a good call.
Oh,
It
Actually,
was a
so
good call.
best example I can give, actually, I can give a very pointed example of this. When Highly and Pickles played Crab Game, I know
Mm,
because I was there,
yeah.
and every one of us, while we were having a ton of fun and acting like soccer hooligans, I'm sure that annoyed a bunch of people watching the stream because it was 30 or so whatever people screaming peanut butter because
Yeah,
we were assholes.
during that stream I definitely muted people who were doing that so it wouldn't bug me or Cat. It wouldn't bug the stream. Like they were just saying peanut butter, peanut butter, peanut butter like constantly
Oh
for
yeah,
no
that sounds
reason.
entertaining.
Yeah, so I muted them
The things we
'cause
think that are entertaining in like a small confined friend group are very much not entertaining en masse.
Well,
For the most part.
they're very entertaining to the people who are in the game screaming at each other. That was fun, right? But like, yeah, to somebody observing it from the outside, we go, "These people are crazy."
it's
Right,
like
it's so
the one viewer that wants to abuse the bit alert and just keep throwing the same one up and like have the long TTS every single time saying the same word over and over again. It's funny the first like 2 times maybe, but then like the third, fourth, fifth, now we're like 10 minutes into the same TTS and it's just saying the same. It's like okay, like
well, that's kind of been happening on Jared's channel, and he has a hotkey to skip alerts now.
Yep.
yeah. Well, I mean, this was a problem way back when he first got partnered. There was people we know like in real life that were coming in and doing it. And I'm like, you realize this is Jared's show, not like your show, right? It's like you've given him $20 and taken up like 20 minutes of the stream now. Like, yeah, like inside jokes can be kind of a deterrent for new viewers. They can actually hurt smaller streamers to have like a really cool inside jokey community, and then nobody gets it because everyone's on the outside of the joke because you have 12 viewers, and like that leaves like the rest of the millions of people that aren't in your channel to not get the joke. I would be very careful with inside jokes. Maybe that should be like a deep dive topic for us at some point. But what I want to talk about now is strengths and understanding your strengths as a streamer and leaning into those. I think this is where we could probably have a little bit more of a practical application for people who want to treat this like, I want to be successful. I want it to be kind of like a good job. I'm willing to do the hard work. A lot of the times what we've been talking about for successful streamers in general, the reason they're successful is that they lean on the things that work for them and that are strengths for them. And they lean heavily in those areas. And I think there's streamers who don't have any strengths. There's streamers who don't know what their strengths are. And there's streamers that don't feel they don't feel like they should improve any of their aspects of themselves to have strengths. So how do you feel about really bland streamers that don't have any strengths? Do you guys, does anybody, I mean, we're not going to call anybody out by name, but we all know a stream that's just so basic. Nothing's really happening. They're just playing a game, right? What would you say makes your stream different from a bland stream?
The one thing that always comes to my mind is weed is not a personality.
Weed,
Marijuana
cannabis.
is not a character trait.
Yeah,
Please.
I'm taking this as a personal attack. No,
No, but you have to have you got to have something other than this one thing that you're hyperfixated on. You have to have some dimension, otherwise it's boring, right? If all you're doing is taking a bong rip every 10 minutes on stream and playing the same game over and over, it's I'm gonna get really bored and go find somebody who's actually talking to people, who's actually making jokes, who's actually trying different things, because I don't, at that point, I don't need to go to your stream to know what's happening, right? I can predict exactly what will happen.
I think it'd be easier for me to point out your strengths, Snazzy, and probably all of you, because we all hate.
Yeah,
probably.
I think we have a hard time complimenting ourselves.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
So I'll do it. I'll do it. Snazzy,
Hit me.
You're a very good friend. You're very
I'll
good
take
at
it.
making friends. You're very friendly.
You have
That's
Sorry.
a trend in my life. Yeah, I'll take that.
Go for it.
I'll add a compliment. I think we all should just round robin talk about things that other
Each
people
other,
can
yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Yes.
What are our
Yeah, I
What
know.
are our
You-
strengths? Let's go.
You hear this all the time, Snazzy, but I think that your cadence and volume and voice quality is just it's very warm and very welcoming. And I think the way that you speak makes you seem what you are, intelligent and just easy to converse with. So that kind of feeds into that friendly persona that you have.
I think seem is the right word when it comes to intelligence.
No,
It's fine.
that's not true at
Hey
all.
man,
Hey,
magicians.
we're complimenting you, okay? You shut up.
Stop turning the compliments around.
So do I have to can I compliment Pickles
No,
now? Because
I think Pickles should say something else that's nice about Snazzy.
No, I mean
Just
Meat's
drawing
kind
a blank, boys.
She said a lot. Snazzy's very warm and inviting. He's very good at being a conversationalist. So it makes you feel like you want to talk to him, and that when you do, he will respond in kind and thoughtfully, because he also conducts himself very thoughtfully. He'll pause the game or he'll stop the music when he needs to say something that has a point, and people see that and they notice that. So when trying to talk to him, it feels safer.
And they always likes to say things like, "Oh, what's that phrase? What's that saying?"
Yeah. I have so many phrases and sayings. Just an
The
arsenal of them.
callbacks. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Skeleton Man in the chat mentioned that Snazzy's easy, and this speaks to the conversationalist, which is a really good strength. That if you are someone who's a good conversationalist, you should work on that and use it to your advantage. Talking about opinions tactfully but thoughtfully, right? With passion, but not that irrational emotion that sometimes people bring to the table. So it makes it easier to engage in discourse, but in a respectful way.
And the funny
And I
thing
would-
is,
and I would say
Snazzy. Hold on, you have some leaning opinions on things. You have positions on things, but you come across enough in a way that doesn't make people uncomfortable with your position on those
Thank
things.
you. I appreciate that.
You don't jam it down people's throats when you have a very specific hard stance. You're just like, this is my stance. I mean, I have these too, and I have to be very careful about not coming off like I'm, shoving, my way of life or my existence into people's faces or
Unless it's about Gunpla, then I'll tell you exactly what.
well, there are areas where that can actually be beneficial, like with stream settings or microphones or things like that. That's not really an offensive position. It's hard if you're going to be offended because we suggest a certain microphone or nippers for putting together a model.
Maybe you should be doing that. No, and thank you, I appreciate that. The only thing I was add is like kind of to what Grayscale the Man said. If you're not a good conversationalist, I would say practice that. Right? If you know conversation is something that gives you trouble and you have a hard time conversing with folks, practice outside of Twitch if you have to. Go find somebody and talk to them. Right? Because it's only going to help you.
It's not even just like being able to say something back to somebody. It's being able to continue a conversation. I've seen so many streams where somebody will be like, "Hey, this is really interesting and cool. What did you think about it?" And they're like, "Cool. I didn't like it," and then move on. Like that's the end of the conversation.
Meh.
Yeah, like
Conversation
say
stopper.
why. Yeah, like they just work every time they talk to somebody. They work against themselves on how to keep talking to somebody.
Yeah. So
And if you are, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Snazzy really knows how to lean into his strengths. I think it's a more natural thing for you, Snazzy, which is good. Like it's not like I don't think you're thinking that heavily about any of this in some ways, but I think you do know what your strengths are enough that's why it's helpful. You already know how to talk to people and how to be careful and tactful when you need to be. And
if you need help with that, just come to my TED Talk. I'm kidding.
So your personality helps, and you're leaning into it. I think some streamers try to lean away from their personality because they're afraid of putting themselves out there. And you're a good example of that. It can work for you, and maybe your personality does suck. Not you, not any of you, but if you're a streamer and you watch your own stream and you kind of hate your stream, like maybe you need to go try to become a more interesting person and this is where you need to develop a strength.
I've said this in recent months, but it's don't kill the part of you that is cringe. Kill the part that cringes. It's like embrace who you are, just 100%.
So let's move on to meats. So let's all praise meats now.
Oh, great.
So eat your meats.
I'll take it.
I'll start with the obvious. Your stream has a very clear identity, which allows people to latch on to the community immediately. It's obvious that you have this like positive you have affirmations, you care about well-being, and you just ooze like that kind of, I don't know, what kind of care is that? Like you ooze you're like a giant hug for people. Like you want people to be comforted. You're very comforting in the right way, not in the toxic way where you're like an enabler. You're comforting in the way that's like an encouragement to like. You're almost talking down to everyone in the right way, the way that you want to, right? Like it's you're talking down in a way that lifts people up.
That might be the greatest compliment I've
That is the
ever.
weirdest compliment, but I kind of love that.
You talk down to people so that they can be lifted up. It's like you're all great. You could be this much more great, and you do just enough of those two things at the same time to like make people who are not so great become maybe a little bit greater.
So I'm like a mildly disappointed, supportive mom.
Yeah.
Well, you're like
There's
a
room for
teacher.
that.
You're a teacher.
You know?
Yeah.
That's true.
And there's always that position of like, you kind of have to talk down to everybody if you're a teacher. Like if you can't treat like students like equals. That doesn't make sense. They're there to learn from you. And so, but you don't do it in a way that makes it people uncomfortable on your stream. You do it in a way that's like an expectation to pull people up. And it's very inviting. I think that's where a lot of people latch onto the identity of what your stream offers, which is like the greater structure of what you're doing. It's almost like the game is benign, and like that encouragement to reaffirm the goodness in people and glue everyone together in that way is what's really important on your stream. And you just choose games that help you reach people, right? Would you guys agree? I got a lot of nodding. It's an audio podcast.
Compliments.
I was
Sunny
waiting for her
chooses
to
go
respond.
first so you can take all the good compliments. Like the
Snazzy,
kidding, of course.
what do you think about meats?
a lot of what you said, absolutely. But
Teacher
also,
meats. Chat says teacher
teacher
meats.
meats.
Oh, that's
a good
Pickles.
one.
I know, I
Low.
love that.
That's a good one. I would also say the thing that strikes me about Meats more so than a lot of other people is it's her perseverance and her dedication to making her stream entertaining. Like I like your title for like, well, I think most of Sekiro was from nub to good. Like just this drive to want to be better at stuff, and also like in a way take us all on that journey and make everyone kind of better for it, right?
Yeah, you're leading by example in that perspective. That's what
Yeah.
I mean. Like you try to lift everybody. You say you can be. I can be.
Leadership.
If I can be
That's-
better, you
that's-
can be
that's
better.
Easiest, that's the easiest way to put it, yeah. But like that kind of just stands out to me as somebody who's just very dedicated and committed to not only to who they are but also their craft, and it's a very admirable quality that I respect in people.
Yep. Pickles.
Hello.
Do you have anything? Wait, do you have anything for Eat Your Meats?
Yeah, I respect her a lot. Like I've always respected her as soon as I ever like went into her stream, because she carries herself very, very confidently, and like it shows. Like I can trust that whatever she's gonna say, like that she means it, and she doesn't come off as inauthentic or with any kind of weird platitudes or anything like that at any point. And I feel like I can trust her. So like I enjoy listening to her, you know?
Yeah. You got any?
And
Go ahead.
I have a dog.
Oh yeah, you have a dog. Yeah. End of story.
If you don't have a personality, just get a dog.
It's such a compliment. I love your dog. I mean, yeah, obviously it's a dog. I love it.
You guys are very kind, and I appreciate that. And it was actually really nice because I don't think of myself that way. This has been a really useful exercise so far, and I hope that actually people who have other streamers that they trust ask this
Absolutely.
question, because
Yeah.
we always ask what we're doing wrong, but I think it's actually really nice to ask, like, what do you think a strength of what I'm doing is?
What are you
This
doing?
has been
right?
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a purpose to this for the podcast other than just like blowing each other up.
It's
I
almost
mean, I
as
like
if
this,
we're
though.
So easy to tear each other down, and I think that's
it's almost
everybody
as if
does
we
that
have
all the time.
structure.
So, yeah. So, Hylian, you're next.
Pickles. Do you get to go first again and take all the good compliments?
Yes, because he is.
Okay.
Be right back, Scream. Yeah. All right.
I'll just watch this back on the VOD. Thank you.
Okay. So, Pickles, your strengths are obviously in creativity, but that's one that just makes streaming easier for you in some ways, because you get to get a lot of inspiration and then kind of get to exercise it. So that helps you as a streamer. But I think where people actually connect with you from a viewer perspective is that you have like a ton of bridges that you're willing to build, and you it's like you've already set up all these pathways for people to connect with you. It's almost like why you played every Zelda game. So it wasn't just so that you could hang your hat up, but it was like now you could talk about every Zelda game. Now it's like you preemptively create these connections with people that you don't know yet. You're like, go out of your way to like open the door so that people can like come and hang out with you before they're even there. Like you've already made your room nice, even though nobody's coming over, kind of thing. And you're very personable in a way that's like not found relatively often on Twitch. On Twitch, you usually find like really big personalities or people that are just like their energy is super chaotic and that can be like really hard to connect with as a viewer. It can be kind of entertaining as a viewer, but like there's no bridge to that person. Whereas with you, viewer has to like take a moment to be like, well, where do I sit? There's so many chairs. Like you've made so many nice little comfortable places for me to hang out. Like which seat is mine? And I think that that's one of the reasons that like you can kind of just do art and people will hang out. And people want to just kind of you've given a nice place for people to hang out and sit. You have all these alerts and these little interactions that like they're just there. It's like you've dressed the room so that there is a place to put your drink and like you've got all this. It's so thoughtful, and that's one of the things I think is the strength of your stream is that when somebody asks you something, you don't answer right away. Like you always need to take your time to figure out what you're going to say, how you're going to say it. And it's that same attitude. It's that same like, is this chair comfortable enough? Like, did I put out enough chairs for everybody? Like you do it with your words too. Like you want to make sure that when you say the thing that it's a comfortable seat and there's enough for everybody kind of thing. Is that
Clearly, Sonny has planned a party recently.
Wow, that's interesting.
I've not been to a party in a long time, but
So my thoughts about Pickles. I probably know Pickles the least of the other, of you guys here. But my time in Pickles streams have always been, like you said, there's a coziness to it, right? It's a stream that
he's got a fire on.
I know,
Literally.
case in point. But like it's a stream. So one thing that I do that I think a lot of other people do is you want something that's kind of like chill that you can put on while you're doing stuff. Like if I'm like doing dishes, Pickles is like a doing the dishes. That's not a bad thing.
Man, these compliments are on the ball
Does this
tonight.
make sense? I hope this makes sense. Like you can listen, and if something really interesting happens, you can focus back in, but it's like something that's really pleasant to have on for long periods of time, right? So Pickles spends a lot of time introspectively. So he's not as much of an extrovert as some other streamers are, but he's my favorite kind of not so extroverted person, right? In that when you do say something, it's interesting and it's not just you because a lot of times we just feel the need to just like verbal diarrhea constantly while we're on stream just to like
I feel
keep hype
attacked.
going.
I feel both
I'm
seen
not
and
saying I don't. I literally said we, like the
Yeah, no,
collective
I know.
right? But Pickles has no verbal diarrhea like ever, right? So that kind of presence is a different characteristic, but has so many wonderful positive qualities that if you want something that's cozy, that you can enjoy at a pace that you're not like, oh, I looked away for a second and I feel like I've missed like this guy's screaming at something now and I have no idea what's going on. That's really wonderful, and I love that about it. I'm a full subject. Sorry. I shouldn't have read chat out loud.
Chat's on the ball tonight too.
All right, Snazzy.
Saving the best for last. I let Meats go first because I don't want to scoop up all the good compliments. Obviously, besides everything that you guys have already said, right? Because that all holds true. I would say the other thing, besides being infinitely creative, the other thing that I really like about Highland Pickles is his how to phrase this, proficiency when it comes to streaming. The ability to deliver a show, to not be phased by things that are happening, to remain calm, to literally in some cases troubleshoot and fix things on the fly, to literally be able to carry a show while It's like bailing out a sinking ship. Sometimes when something goes wrong and you got to patch the hole and get the water out. And few people I know do it with such precision and such rationality and such calmness as Pickles does when he's streaming. It regardless of whether or not he's doing something that he's familiar with or something he's completely unfamiliar with, he always gives off this aura of being in his element, of being the captain. He is the captain now. Like he if we're gonna continue the ship analogy,
Captain, my captain.
yeah, he always feels like he's in control, but not so tight a control that you feel like you're watching this like weird scripted, show that's awkward and unflexible and unyielding. It's the kind of control that just comes from being innately familiar with what's entertaining and how to talk to people. And again, a lot of streamers that you see out there, especially people who are just starting out, simply do not have that yet, and some never will. So,
Okay, so moral of the story: if you guys want to look at these three and say they do anything they want and it just works, that is not true. That is so not true. It is.
Oh, wait, we haven't complimented you, Sonny.
Oh, I
Yeah,
just started streaming. There's nothing to compliment.
listen. No. That's not how this works.
We gotta make you uncomfortable
See.
too.
Oh, okay. All right. Hold on.
This
Alright,
has devolved from an
meats.
informational podcast to just like lifting
Positive
everyone
berating.
up, and I am all
Positive
here
berating,
for
yeah.
this. I want to Chat's being weird tonight too. I love it. I'm here for this.
Meats, do you want to start?
Nice
Oh
try.
my gosh.
Nice try.
Yes, you know what? I think that Sunny is just I know this sounds silly, but technical proficiency is a really good aspect of streaming, right? And that's going to support so much about it. And you have to speak to Pickles too, is that aspect of creativity. You are able to execute things, concepts, with just an astounding efficiency and creativity. And your creativity comes in through your music streams, and you just seem to have this desire to help people. And so out of stream, I'm gonna be out of stream for a second too, though. The patience that you have with dumbwits like myself is just a testament to who you are as a person, and your ability to just like fix a problem. Like, you just seem like someone that you can go to for most things, and you'll have some sort of thoughtful but like not belittling answer. Like, you never make me feel bad for feeling dumb, right? Like, even in your videos, in the content that you create, it never seems like, hey dummy, like this is easy, this is how you do it. It's
Hey,
always
dummy.
just very like I mean, there are things that I see that make me feel that way. But you're really good at that. You're really good at making people feel educated and feel powerful, without making them feel dumb. So I guess there's a similarity between us two, just in different concepts. So thank you for being here. I appreciate you, Sonny.
감사합니다.
Take it away, Halid. What you got? Hit him with it.
Sonny is a very thorough and meticulous person, which is very nice. I can trust that he knows about a topic if I have a question about it, especially when it comes to like the technology and the audio and all of that. But just like anything that he's interested in, he always he tries to learn as much as he can about it, which is nice. I think it's a respectable quality, because a lot of people just like read like one thing and they're like, yep, I know all I need to know about that, and then it's like not that deep. Sonny has a lot of depth to his character, and he's very, what's the word I'm looking for? I know that when authentic. He's very authentic. Everything that he is interested in, everything he says, everything he does is always true to who he is through and through. and it's nice.
Thanks.
Now I have to come up with someone that someone hasn't already said, because the one that I was gonna get to, but then Meat snatched like 3 of them, was patience.
Sorry. Gotta
That's fine.
wax poetic for
No,
Sunny.
listen, it's absolutely fine. I will say, again, echoing everything everyone said, Sonny is infinitely patient. I would know because I bug him all the time about stuff. But to kind of go in line with that, Sonny is also one of the most approachable people I think I've ever met, in the sense that he never snaps at you. He never feels like he's too good to give you the time of day. Um, I I could ask him questions about things about streaming that I would feel stupid about asking anybody else, so then I wouldn't ask anybody else. That if I literally asked anybody else, I would then never talk to that person again and hope they forgot that I
Die of
existed. Right?
embarrassment.
Yeah, exactly. But with Sunny, it's I know that um, I can be real with him, as it were, I guess, in that sense, and then I know that he's going to be real with me and not sugarcoat it, and he's infinitely approachable in that way, and it's something that I strive to be in my own personal life. So
Good. That's good. Thank you guys. That's very nice.
now that
think-
we've roasted Sunny with kindness,
Yeah, I think that there's some really important themes to pull from what we just talked about, right? There are a lot of things that we take as positive qualities from each of us that sort of overlap a little bit. And I do really think it's important to think about what your positive qualities are and work to those, right? Are you someone who's calm and inviting? Are you someone that is encouraging, or someone who is a good teacher or a good conversationalist? Like, really work towards those, because most of us have some level of interesting quality in our personality, especially if you want to be a streamer, if you want to be an entertainer. That's what's entertaining, right? Is someone who can resonate with you in some way, you know? So really, I hope you take some of these examples and think about how it applies to yourself or some of your streamer friends, and bolster them, right? Tell them what you think is going on really well with their stream, so that they know that at least that portion of what they're doing feels like it's going in a good direction. Because we've just figured it out. We're not, we didn't necessarily do all this on purpose, and it's important to work on those strengths, because we all have them.
Yeah.
And a while back, Sonny actually challenged me to think about myself in this way, which I never ended up doing. But the whole point of it was to like find out who you are, how people receive you, and be able to like accentuate those qualities to make yourself a better stream presence, or to kind of like dial in just the identity of your stream a little better. And knowing what you can do well, I think is incredibly helpful in that. Like, knowing that you're a good conversationalist, maybe you have, conversations with people. You have a podcast or something. Like,
Do you mean ask me anything?
yeah, do stuff like that. And so having people you trust tell you these things about what you're doing well can help you creatively figure out where you need to go next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and I think also to tap back to priorities and stuff, it's even if you don't have outside input, right, into what's going right, just self-reflection, right, looking back and kind of thinking about these things. We joke around that none of us can take a compliment, and it's kind of true, but like analyzing yourself and establishing your strengths helps you figure out whether or not you need to work and lean into those strengths, or are you strong enough in a certain category that you can then maybe you need to prioritize working on something you're weaker at. Knowing what you are and are not good at helps you then identify, do I need to just keep going with with the thing that I'm good at, or do I need to maybe back off on that a little bit and work on this other thing that I'm not so good at, right? and it helps you establish a baseline of it's a balance, right? How much of it is me leaning into stuff I'm good at versus how much of it is it that you're learning and uplifting those parts of you aren't necessarily the that aren't necessarily something you could just fall back to automatically, right? Like a strength is something that you could just fall back to automatically and it's comfortable and you know what to do in that situation, versus a weakness might be something that you're not comfortable with and you're not sure how to proceed. So you have to balance sort of, playing on a strength versus working on a weakness.
And it can be very helpful to figure out whether or not one of your weaknesses or strengths are the inverted, and you don't realize it. I've run into streamers who think a weakness is actually something that should be a strength for their stream. And they lean too far in one direction because they think this is a strength. I'm funny, so that's my strength. Well, maybe that's a part of your strength, but because you're trying to be funny all the time, it's becoming a weakness because you're being so funny that you're not leaning at all into your intellectual side. And so people aren't really getting to know you. Like if they were to go have coffee with you, you wouldn't be funny the whole time. And maybe you're doing yourself a disservice by strengthening an area of your stream and making things that should be a strength a weakness. So this is actually probably the most important thing most streamers aren't doing, is being critical about themselves in this way to try to figure out how to be well-rounded enough that they present in a way that viewers can attach. Because you want people to attach to you. And the other thing that I find is if you don't do this, you end up feeling kind of toxic over the long term, where you don't feel authentic to yourself because you're like, oh, now everybody knows me as this joke, whatever it is, insert this kind of person here. And that's not, I don't really identify that way internally. It's something that I think is funny, but it's not. Now I'm being defined, and I think we all hate to be defined by like a simple idea in a small, undynamic way that we really want to be like, no, I'm actually a person. Like, and I need to feel like, you want to feel like a whole person as a streamer and let people connect to the whole person. In a lot of ways, being like putting on a suit and being a character makes you one dimensional. And now your whole entire existence as a streamer is people are now attaching themselves. Actors go through this problem, right? People associate an actor with a character, and they're not, that person who plays the character they're not the same at all. And so, and then they'll be walking around and people will be like, oh, hey, it's that character. They'll call him by the character's name, not the actor's name. And it bothers the actor, So I don't know.
Or musicians who have to play songs that they wrote 20 years ago that they want to stop playing now, but
yeah,
the crowd wants what the crowd wants.
Yeah. So I don't know. If new streamers actually have it good in some ways because you're not like squeezed into typecasting or, a specific expectation from anybody yet. You're still in a good place to kind of present yourself to the world in a holistic manner that lets people attach themselves to the true identity of who you are. But you have to, only really you, the streamer, you have to figure out what that is and who you are. If you don't have a good sense of who you are, then you need to do a lot of soul searching to have these connections. And you really got to be willing to put in the work. Those are like the two main themes of today's episode. Like don't expect this to not be a job. Try to enjoy it and figure out who you are. What are your strengths? I think everybody had some good final thoughts here already. So, does anybody have anything they want to add, or should we just wrap this up?
The only thing I would add is if you're a new streamer, and real quick because I know we're over time, but if you're a new streamer, like Sonny said, that's like the best time for you. You are clay on the spinning wheel. You haven't been put in the kiln
Molded.
yet. Yeah, you're still shapeable. You're not hard and baked yet. Use that. Use that, please.
Unless you're a cannabis stream, then you're pretty big.
Then you're big, yeah.
But you should still change, so you know.
All right, everybody, that's the show. Thank you for
Don't
being
forget
here.
to like and subscribe. Wait, hold on. Like and subscribe.
You got it. You got it. It's all you.
That bell.
Infinite Quality Live.
Infinite Quality Live. That's right.
Join-
InfiniteQuality.live.
Join our team if you want. If you like streaming and you are cool and an affiliate or better.
Submit
Thanks,
your
everybody.
resume. Because it's a job.
Boy.